This week, Raw gave us the announcement that Roman Reigns' leukemia is in remission, gave us Becky Lynch going to jail, gave us Ronda Rousey apparently abandoning the Women's Championship, and the return of Batista. SmackDown gave us the return of the Hardy Boys, gave us a upgraded Fastlane WWE Championship match, and the return of Kevin Owens. What did NXT give us? Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, next to YWC Reality Check, and this is your NXT review for February 27th, 2019. Now, if you've been watching this video series for a long time, you know we get the house cleaning out of the way first. Quickly, I'm going to say go back one video, check out my my highlights and comments from Destiny vs. Blackcraft The Ritual. It was an amazing show. I meant to go up and talk for maybe 5 minutes, give a couple quick highlights, ended up talking about it for a half hour. That's what happens when I don't have a script. So if you're interested in that, if you're in the GTA especially, go check that out. It's a lot of fun. NXT UK. I said last week that I was going to try and get caught up on NXT UK. Time is not on my side. It's WrestleMania season. I've got a lot of topical videos coming up. I hopefully, all things being equal, will have a really interesting fantasy booking project that I'm going to be doing with Kristen later on this week. I'm going to be talking more about Destiny. Destiny's got a retro show coming up soon, where the first two talents signed to the retro show were Gangrel and Badass Billy Gunn. I'm going to be there. I've already got my ticket. It's all good. Obviously, next week we're going to do the PPV Pick Em for Fastlane, which is looking like a really good show, if not a really banter show. Q&A is going to happen before WrestleMania. You guys know that. Go back a couple of videos. Put your questions down in the comment section below. But what may end up happening, and I'm not sure about this yet because I'm not sure how my schedule is going to go, NXT UK might be on the shelf for a little bit. I'm still watching it. I'm still keeping an eye on it. I'm about 3 weeks behind. But I don't want to come up here and keep telling you guys, yeah, I'm going to do it, I'm going to catch up, I'm going to do it, I'm going to catch up, when I don't know whether I'm going to do it, and I don't know whether or not I'm going to catch up right now, unfortunately. But if you want to go back, check out the playlists for NXT, NXT UK, 205 Live, back when I was doing 205 Live, the topical videos, etc. Check out my stuff, like I say, for Destiny, if you're so inclined. I will say, go back one video, if you are interested in watching that show that I was at, I did put the Fight TV app link in the description of that video for anybody that's interested. I do say check it out. Highlight for WWE fans would probably be Johnny Blackcraft taking on PJ Black, which is realistically John Morrison taking on the hell's his name in WWE, Justin Gabriel. It was a lot of fun. It ended up being a bit of a comedy match, but that's okay. Got to see an awesome hardcore match to start off the night. Got yelled at by OVE. That was fantastic. And, oh yeah. And we found out Josh Alexander has been signed to a 3-year deal with Impact Wrestling, so fucking good for him. Anyways, talk about NXT because we've got a lot to go through. The night starts off with Johnny Gargano coming out to the ring while the commentators praise him for the up and down couple of weeks that he's had, winning the North American Championship at TakeOver, debuting on Raw and SmackDown, losing the title to Velveteen Dream, etc. He comes into the ring and basically says the same thing. He says it's been an interesting couple of weeks. He's had a chance to go on to Raw and SmackDown and show them what NXT is all about. Had one of the toughest matches ever at TakeOver. Had one of the toughest matches after TakeOver with the Velveteen Dream. After TakeOver, I told you guys I was back. I told you I was Johnny Champion, but I failed at my very first test. I still feel like a champion, but I have no championship, and it's about time I realize he's cut off. Obviously, he's cut off by Ciampa, who comes down to play some mind games, etc. Over the past week and a half, we've learned you're better with me in your life than without it. NXT, Raw, SmackDown, etc. We're better. We're better when we're together. Last week, I offered to help you, and you declined, and then you lost. You finally realized that we needed each other, and last week they announced the Dusty Classic. The Dusty Classic is where it all began, and I forgot about that. I forgot that we were introduced to DIY during, I think it was the first Mae Young Classic. Mae Young Classic. Dusty Classic. Big difference there. That's where it all began. The winner gets a title shot. TakeOver New York could be our moment. Handshake, huge pop, DIY chance. And Gargano and Ciampa are together again. We see Ricochet backstage who's talking about his work on the main roster, his tag teaming with Aleister Black. And he says he's not done with the Undisputed Era either, but with somebody like Black by his side, Doesn't matter if it's 2-on-2, 2-on-3, 2-on-4. He's really confident pretty much. And then we see Ciampa and Gargano leaving the arena, and Candice LeRae just sort of cutting off Johnny Gargano before he can even explain himself, and saying, I hope you know what you're doing, you know, giving him the rolly eyes, etc. And, yeah, so the friends are friends again, and the wife isn't too impressed, and how many of us have real-life stories like that? Moving on, Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah take on Tanera Conti and Xia Li. Now, it's an interesting one for me, because Vanessa Bourne, I could take or leave. Aaliyah is my hometown girl. I think she's really, really underrated. Tanera Conti falls into that category as well. And Xia Li is somebody I definitely want to see more of so that I can have a better opinion of her. Sorry, my glasses are doing a thing. I apologize. But Tanera Conti has got that judo background, and she does have a bit of a different style. Every time I see her in a match, I get the opinion that we're not seeing everything that she can do, that she's been told to not do something, and she spends the entire match trying to not do whatever that thing is. I think there's something in her that we've not seen yet. I would have much rather dropped the partners and just have Tanera Conti versus Aaliyah, but that's just me. Conti and Bourne start off the match as a takedown by Conti and a pump kick and a corner knee, monkey flip mounted strikes by Conti, hanging leg bar by Conti, and it's basically, if we've talked before about Andrade Cien Almas taking the hanging arm bar that Alberto Del Rio used to do, this was the same thing, only with the arm, and I thought it was a really neat little thing. Face plant by to Aaliyah on the apron by Conti, boot by Bourne, mudhole and a reverse Bronco Buster, double suplex by the heels and a straight jacket choke by Aaliyah, snapmare by Aaliyah and a super kick by Lee, series of kicks by Lee and a clothesline by Bourne, but a guillotine twisting neckbreaker by Bourne and Aaliyah get the win. And this was a pretty dirty... It was a pretty dirty move because she had her sort of posed over. Bourne had her sort of posed over the knee, and Aaliyah came running with a twisting neckbreaker, but it wasn't a twisting neckbreaker to the ground. Back of her neck hits Bourne's knee. Really, really interesting combination. Haven't seen anything quite like that before. Undisputed Era confront Velveteen Dream on the outside while he's being interviewed. They call him VD, which is questionable. Cole says he's going to be the North American champ again, and Fish and O'Reilly are going to be the tag champs again. Once again, I got to wonder where that leaves Roderick Strong, but that's another story for another day. Dream calls him a little man, and then he looks at all of them and says, I'm the champ, I'm the North American champ, I don't have time to hang out with little boys, and leaves them. And I thought that was really great, because he's about a foot taller than all of them. In the back, Bianca Belair talks some shit to Io Shirai, because that's what she does. And yay? Dominic Dijakovic, which I am just refusing to say, so I'm just calling him Dijak, I don't really care, versus Keith Lee. And for all I don't care about Dominic Dijakovic's name, this was a good match. I don't care about him as a character, but I do care about him once he gets in the ring. Keith Lee, just charismatic as fuck, and it's all good. Collar and elbow type and a headlock by Dijak. Dueling shoulder tackles. Neither man can move the other one, which is, it's a cliche big man story, but it's really good. Trip by Dijak and a hip toss attempt by Lee. An attempted pop-up by Lee and an attempted monkey flip by Dijak. It is, not to steal the old gorilla line, but it is the immovable force and the immovable object. I butchered that, didn't I? Both men trade some chops, body shots, jabs, corner clothesline by Lee and a pounce, super kick by Dijak, midair spinebuster by Lee, sort of one hand on the chest, just slam dunks him almost. Boot off the apron by Dijak and hits him with an inside of the ring to the outside of the ring senton, which is no small feat in and of itself. The guys are out on the outside. It's a double count out. There's a pull apart after. The pull apart is not the most exciting pull apart imaginable. I'm just going to say that. The crowd, however, loves it. The crowd saying let them fight. They want that Big Show Mark Henry. If you want a battle of big, and I'm gonna go back to the Destiny thing once again. If you want a good match like this, big guy versus big guy, go back to my highlights from Destiny. Check out Michael Elgin versus Chris Dickinson, because that was there's a whole Vince McMahon saying look at all this beef joke I could make there, but I'm not going to, because we're moving on. We're moving on to the finalized first round matches for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. The first round matches are Mustache Mountain versus the Street Profits, which will be good. Lorcan and Birch versus the Forgotten Sons, which I like Lorcan and Birch, but I really want the Forgotten Sons to do something. The Reunited DIY taking on the Undisputed Era. Good Lord, that's going to be the best match of the first round by far. And Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel taking on Aleister Black and Ricochet. It's interesting in a way because they do the tag team tournament because they want to put the focus on tag teams and look at the great tag team division that that NXT have. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. But to even fill 8 spots, you had to throw some tag teams together. I mean, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel were a team that was thrown together on NXT UK. Black and Ricochet are not a proper tag team. DIY, I mean, for those of you that have read the spoilers, you know why they're doing that. Forgotten Sons are a new team. Street Profits are an underappreciated team. Mustache Mountain is a great team, but they're not really on this brand, are they? So while I love the Dusty Classic, I really, really do, it instead of putting a spotlight on NXT Tag Team Division, it spotlights how, I don't want to say how small the Tag Team Division is in NXT, but how much bigger it could be. And I really hope that doesn't make me sound like a dick. I really do, but whatever. William Regal announces over Twitter on our televisions that Bianca Belair and Io Shirai are going to fight in 2 weeks, and the #1 contender will be established for TakeOver New York. It's all good. I want it to be Io Shirai because Io Shirai is great. Bianca Belair, I've talked enough about what I think about Bianca Belair. We get a surprise appearance from the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Sasha Banks and Bayley, the Boston Hug Connection. The crowd, okay, I can make fun of a lot of things. I can say somebody else should have won those titles and Bayley and Sasha Banks could have had their moment at Mania. I thought that would have been a better way to do it. All kidding aside, this was a homecoming for them. It was great. Obviously, you had Izzy sitting there in the front row, and she even got a shout out during this promo. But basically, they came in and they said, "This is, you know, soaking in the crowd ambiance or whatever." Basically, this is why you don't ever forget where you came from. This is where our journey started. The last time we were in NXT, we were having the first ever main event women's Iron Man match for NXT. We want these titles to be the most talked about titles in the WWE. We're going to be defending them on Raw and SmackDown, but we're also going to be defending them in NXT. The ladies better step up so that the next time we come here, we can be possibly defending these titles. And I'm sorry. I do want to see the match between them and the Sky Pirates. I really, really do. But there are 2 proper teams on SmackDown that really, really showed how underutilized they are in that Elimination Chamber. I haven't had a chance to talk about Elimination Chamber since Elimination Chamber. But Rose and Deville, shoot me if you want to. Rose and Deville and the Iconics, and to a lesser extent the Riot Squad as well, are actual proper mid-card, proper tag teams. And as much as Bayley and Sasha Banks is the happy story, it's the fairy tale ending, etc., they are main eventers within the women's division. And if a tag team title is supposed to be something for the mid-card to do, then it's failing in that. It's failing in the sense that something that was created to give the mid-card something to do is already in the main event picture. I get it. They're the 4 horsewomen. By the end of WrestleMania, all the 4 horsewomen are going to have belts or whatever. Go back, check out how I would book the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen. There was a lot of fantasy booking that went into that, and it included them being the tag title champions, for sure. But they're making other proper teams. Like I say, the 2 remaining members of Absolution, the Iconics, the Riot Squad. Apparently the Bellas are coming back. Apparently Trish and Lita are coming back. Apparently these are all possibilities for WrestleMania. Sky Pirates are definitely in that conversation, but I do think we need to give Sonya Deville a shot. I do think we need to stop looking at Mandy Rose as a Barbie doll, because she's not. The Iconics came up as a tag team, went through NXT as a tag team. They need to be recognized as a tag team. At least have a shot. Not even to win. Just to have a shot. This is a ramble about non-NXT stuff, but I mean, Sky Pirates, the 2 other UFC horsewomen under BASZLER, Duke and Shafir, versus Bayley and Sasha could be a weird but still entertaining match. The other 2 teams that we saw earlier with Xia Li and Tainara Conte, or Vanessa Bourne, even though I'm not that crazy about her, teaming up with Aaliyah. These are all combinations, and these are all combinations that should be fighting over those titles if they are to be a true mid-card championship, because the women's division definitely does have a mid card and an upper card. Now, I don't want to say that it's a lower card because it's not, but whatever. That was a long-ass rant. Basically, Bayley and Sasha Banks throwing down the gauntlet to any teams in NXT that want to take them on. Short, sweet, to the point. Nice homecoming for them, and it didn't take up too much of the show. I took up more time rambling about it than you would watching this segment. Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim is basically the story of Shayna Baszler fucking up Mia Yim's leg. So let's talk about it. Collar and elbow tie and a takedown by Baszler, double leg and a mount, and kicks to the face by Yim and some mounted punches. Suicide dive by Yim and a super kick on the outside. Baszler eats the steps. Yim stomps the hand in the steps, but then Yim goes for a kick, and it looks like she shatters her knee against the steps, but they keep on saying it's her foot. I don't really know. Baszler stomps on the leg, seeing the obvious injury. Knee bar ankle lock combination by Baszler in the ring, followed by her just stomping on the ankle. She goes for the Karafuda clutch, but Yim does the hand manipulation, the finger manipulation, like our friends over in the UK division do, Pete Dunne specifically. Working the hand, working the finger, bending things just the way they're not supposed to go, and it's a really cool way for her to get out of the Karafuda clutch. A knee bar by Baszler, tornado DDT on one leg by Yim, a series of strikes by Yim, and every time she hits her with the leg, she sells the pain, the injury, etc. It's really, really good. High knee. She even manages to hit the eat defeat with one leg. Gut wrench by Baszler. She goes for the yes kicks, which makes me laugh a little bit now that Daniel Bryan is a heel. Heels can use the yes kicks. I don't know. Batista bomb by Yim on one leg. And in the week that Batista came back with his blue nose ring and his blue sunglasses during the all-blue Ric Flair birthday party, Mia Yim, also dressed in blue, pulling off the Batista bomb on NXT, did make me smile a little bit. But a trip and a Karafuda clutch gets the win for Baszler. I would not mind seeing this match again. I would not mind seeing this match as a championship match. I know we've got Bianca Belair taking on Io Shirai for the #1 contendership in 2 weeks. I would not mind if you stuck Mia Yim in there and made that a triple threat match, because then I have 2/3 of a chance of seeing a contender that I actually want. And that's not me being a bitch to Mia, or to, what's her name, Bianca Belair. They need to fix her character. They need to fix her character so that her character is as good as her in-ring action. Mia Yim has both. Io Shirai. I just called her Ia. Io Shirai has both. Mia Yim has both. Mia Yim comes out there as a badass character and fights in the ring like a badass character. Bianca Belair comes out as a great wrestler and sort of a bizarrely good wrestler because she's so different in the ring, and I like what she does, but the character is pretty generic, and her just sort of having a random bitch fit at random people in the back because things aren't going her way is becoming repetitive. It's becoming as repetitive as Lacey Evans walking halfway down the ring and going back again. It's getting to be that annoying to me. And now that they've gone into this delusional mode of her being undefeated, even though she's not, it's just taking the character. It's just taking the character downhill for me. I'm sorry. There's other people. You've got Nikki Cross that just went up to the main roster without ever holding that title. So for every person that never has a chance to hold that title, I think we need to hold that title in even higher prestige. And when that's the case, you cannot have somebody who, on the one hand, is impressing me, but on the other hand, is making me not care about how impressive they are in Bianca Belair. Give me Io Shirai. Give me Asuka again for all I care. Give me Mia Yim. It'll be something new. Tainara Conte. The jiu-jitsu versus the MMA style could be something really nice and new and different. Give me a heel Candice LeRae, because I thought we were getting heel Candice LeRae a couple of weeks ago, and that's sort of dissipated. Give me Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai when they both respectively come back. Oh, there's a team. The what is it? The Fly Kicks or whatever are another good proper tag team that could go against Bayley and Sasha Banks, but give me either one of them. Dakota Kai's got unfinished business with Shayna Baszler. There's all kinds of things you could do rather than just give me a repeat of last TakeOver. We give NXT a lot of credit a lot of the time for not being too repetitive. The only repetitive thing we really have in NXT is Ciampa versus Gargano, but they've given us reasons. Belair, it's just, well, we don't want to be called this, so let's do this. I'm rambling now. A whole lot. Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim, for the short match that it was amazing. We got so much in this tonight. We got Banks and Bayley returning to NXT. We got the Dusty Classic finalized. We got the return of DIY. We sort of got the solidification of this Ricochet, Aleister Black tag team that we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks. We got a cool main event, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say. We got the beginnings of some kind of story between Adam Cole, Bebe, and Velveteen Dream, and if they could never call him VD again, that would be great, because that was a little bit awkward. Anyways, Ramble is over. I got nothing else to say, and I'm kind of losing my voice, as what usually happens on these reviews. So anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.